Hello, my name is David Faure and I work for KDAB. I am the author and maintainer of the KDSoap library. In this video, I would like to show you how to use KDSoap to write a SOAP server. Let me show you the server in action first. When we start the server, what it will do is it will start listening on a port and simply waiting for clients. Now, if we start a client, this user interface will show up where we can simply say something to the server and the server will reply, "Hello, I'm Hello World server," and you said, "Yo, good." So that's what we want to implement, and the communication between the two is done using SOAP. To implement the server, all we have to do is to derive from KDSoap server, a class provided by the library. And this is actually the QtCP server class. So that's where it will listen on a port and wait for connections. So we do this here with the listen method. That's the one from QtCP server. We say, I'm listening on this port, and that's it, right? Waiting for clients. What we have to do in there is to re-implement the method createServerObject, where it's going to be called whenever someone connects to our server, and that's where we create the object that will handle the requests from this particular client. So it's a factory method because we could have multiple clients connected at the same time, and we want to deal with all of them together. Okay, so what's this server object? That is a class that we'll implement ourselves. And what we want to do in there is to re-implement the various operations provided by our server. To do that, we of course need to specify these operations in a WSDL file, as is customary with SOAP. So in that file, we are saying, I have a service, we call it hello service. And when we use it with SOAP, we have one operation, say hello, and then the input and output are here, simply a string as the input and another string as the reply. So we write this WSDL file, or if you don't want to write it by hand, which I could understand, there are several tools that can be used to generate those. You can look into SOAP UI, or I think Visual Studio can do that as well. So you generate the WSDL file, and then you use it to actually generate code from KDSoap using, as before, the KDSoap generate WSDL function in CMake. Except that this time, we will tell it, I want the server as well. And that's something we can do with the -server option for the code generator, and then we will get those server classes. And the most important one of them is the base class for the server. So that generated class here will have a pure virtual method for every operation that we have to implement in the server. In the example here, we only have one operation, say hello. So that is the one and only private virtual, the one and only pure virtual method here. But we would have as many as we have operations. So coming back to our own implementation, what we have to do then is to override say hello and provide an implementation for it. In this example, it's quite simple. We will say I'm returning a different string, which is I'm the server and you said, and we repeat the message just to use the message for something. In addition, I show you here how to deal with errors in a server implementation. If something is wrong, like in this case, the message was empty, then we can call the setFault method and return an actual SOAP fault instead of a value. So the value here doesn't matter. In this case, we have the empty string, but it won't be used. What will be sent back is a fault. This is a little bit like C++ exceptions, but they are actually part of the SOAP protocol, the idea that we can return an exception, or here it's called a fault, instead of an actual value. So the design of all of this is actually quite interesting, because in the same process we can have multiple SOAP servers that implement a different set of operations. So in this example, there was just one. The server listens to a port and waits for clients. Then it will dispatch these sockets, the server-side socket from every client, to a thread pool. And in every thread, we will handle a number of clients. So we pass the server object, that's the little orange or white rectangle here. We pass the server object to a thread pool, and it's the one that will handle the socket communication with the client. So this design, of course, allows the server to scale to many different services, and for each service, many different connected clients, all of that being handled by the same process. So I think that's all I have to show you for how to implement a server. And this is actually the end of this series on KDSoap. But if you have any questions about the client or the server side, don't hesitate to leave comments under this video and I will take a look. I hope you enjoy KDSoap. Cheers.